Hi, welcome to Fontes Insider. Kim Bassett here, your host. We are recorded today. Just going to put that out there. Hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, we will have a live again. But today, I wanted to bring on someone that I think is very impactful, especially if you are in the space of a diversity. For example, if you are a women-owned, if you are a minority-owned business, there's going to be some great takeaways here. But even if you don't have those aspects, this is going to be a great one because you're going to learn about the 3 C's of business, and I think it will really make an impact on your business. Today on Fontes Insider, coming from Las Vegas, Nevada, is Christy Echols. Christy is a wife, mother, grandmother, and serial entrepreneur. Nearly 10 years ago, Christy set out to bridge the gap for small women and minority businesses, utilizing her and her family's extensive experience in the contracting field. Christy is the go-to resource for all things diversity. She has partnered with NDOT, NCA, and is on many boards serving her community that she loves. Her priorities of faith and family first give her the foundation of the servant leader that she is. Christy, welcome to Fontes Insider. Yay! Welcome, Christy. I love your pictures, by the way. I mean, oh my gosh.
So the one family picture, I'm actually so excited. We just went back to meet or see our little grandbaby, and my parents, my family, my son and his wife, and our grandbaby just moved. And so they're all now together. So we actually were able to get all of us together in one picture. And then our middle son, he's engaged. And so his fiance was able to fly out and meet some of our family as well. So that was cool. So we actually have like everybody in there except the dogs. So that was a really fun picture that I'm super proud now to be able to have. I need to get it blown up and blasted everywhere. But
oh my gosh! And now that I have 2 new twin grandsons, I'm like, okay, now I need another picture. Our family keeps growing too. So.
I know, and I'm not for sure how we're going to do this whole distance thing, but thankfully our kids every day we get a fresh new picture every day, and we have the other thing, girl, you got to invest in is an electronic or a digital photo frame. Our kids got one of those for Christmas, and they'll just upload pictures and we'll hear a little ding. And so we'll go in there and click on it. We'll have a new picture, a new video. And it's just so fun. It's sitting out in the living room. And I mean, it's not obviously, the better than being there in person, but it's just something fun. And so the kids are able to do that. And then we just got one for my husband's parents as well. They're a little bit older. And so we got one for them as well. They're not as techie on phones or things like that. And they just have it sitting up and it's connected to their, their Wi-Fi. It's super easy. So I have to send you a link of the one we got.
Please do.
Yes. So they gave that to us for Christmas before they moved. And, at first I was like, this isn't going to, I wasn't real happy about them moving. But, now that they're gone, I'm so thankful that we have that type of technology. And, if you can't chat every day and we're unfortunately, not able to do that. And so this is always a fun thing to have. So
I absolutely love that idea. So thank you for sharing that with me. All right, everyone. So Christy and I actually met 3 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long.
I know.
When I bought the business, Fontes, with my brother in the Las Vegas area, my husband jumped on and he's like, "You're a woman-owned business now. You need to," and I had no idea what that even was.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. And I had no idea about the Vegas. I'd lived here 2 different times and I had great friends here, but I was like, I have no idea about the business community. And I was really nervous. And I have to tell y'all, you definitely want to have Christy on your side. She is I call her the resource queen.
Resource woman is what you say.
Resource woman, yes, resource woman.
Great.
She is, and she is an expert in so many different things. You come in as someone who's getting their certification. She does an amazing, beautiful job with that. And then on top of it, you get to go into her castle and see all kinds of rooms of the great things and help that she is. It's that's how I refer to us as with Fontes. You come into thinking you're going to get print and promotional, And there's a whole slew of other services and things that, that we can help with. And people are always like, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you did that. That's all I get all day long. So,
Right.
And I'm sure you do too. So I want you to talk a little bit about your story to everyone here.
Yeah. So our story begins just a little bit when we started our company in 2012. And I'll kind of maybe just back up just a smidge. So my parents have had a business all my life, and even probably before I was born. And so I was blessed to be a part of that and be in that entrepreneurial, small mom and pop, small family business. And so I've always kind of had that just deep down inside, even though, I left to go start a corporate career at one point, thinking that I could do more, do all the things. And it's funny how you still come back to what's really down inside of you. And so all of those things, though, that was just a platform to really give me some extra knowledge and expertise that I didn't have. So it opened up some more in a contracting arena. Then fast forward when we moved to Las Vegas in 2005, that began to open an arena of contract management, government contracting, which then led me into the diversity space. And so we were able to really learn a lot about that, and how does that certification tool help you with whether it's government contracting or public works, utilities, different things, and how to navigate that. And so that's kind of where then, we started that arena with Paragon early on. And as I've shared this, in before in other circles, I had no idea where that would lead us though. But when we started, I'm going to go back to Paragon. When my husband and I started Paragon in 2012, one of the things that it was the most important for us, especially for me at that time, was to just create something that created freedom for us. And that meant a lot of things. That meant finances, our family, our time, our faith, all of that was important. So when we talked about freedom, it had multiple capacities that served. And then, also I had my kids at that time. My boys were a little bit younger, middle school, high school, wanted to be a part of that. And the Lord surprised us with another little blessing. And so we have a 25, 20, and a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old. Our 20-year-old actually is his birthday today. And so we wanted to be able to really create something, be able to be a part of their lives growing up. I didn't want to miss. When I was young, when I had the boys, I missed so much of that, being in the corporate arena, and I didn't want to do that. And then fast forward, my husband and I, we really wanted to create, we didn't know what that would look like, and we're still learning what that looks like, but we really wanted to create a legacy company. And so that has played a lot. Our faith, our family has played a lot into what we do. Our values, our things, our what we call our non-negotiables, things that we just absolutely, say no to or say yes to. And so through all of that, that has just kind of guided us in what we've been able to do. Different arenas we start here, and it will just kind of navigate. So when Kim talks about the castle, a lot of people do come to us maybe for certifications, but being and having the opportunity to serve with over 20 years of experience in different areas, it really kind of gives us a broad expertise, all in the same, obviously it all kind of works in the same field, but different areas. So from business development or contracting or, developing new things and strategies and visions, connections and resources, all of that has led us to really where we're at today. And so, it kind of gives a little bit of our story. I can't go into probably all of it. We don't have enough time for all of it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a high level. And, my husband and my family, we're super excited. We're getting ready to launch into some new, when this is replayed or the broadcast, I'm not sure when you'll be watching this, but, you just never know what opportunities come. And I think the cool thing is being open to when those opportunities arise. And, our audience is going to be probably, small business owners, maybe mid-sized to large. We might cover the gamut with your audience, Kim, but
Yes.
never being concerned or being afraid of starting or navigating. And so, here we are, almost 10 years into our business and how it's evolved, and being able to say, hey, here's a new opportunity. Let's go for it. If it all aligns with, and we've talked about it, you've heard us say it many times already, our faith is our first priority. And if God says go, we're going to go. We're going to be obedient. Whatever that looks like. If God says shut the door, we're going to shut the door. And so we've experienced those things over our journey, whether it was in ministry or in business. And so we're excited about new things and new opportunities of where that comes. And so I just want to throw that out there to someone. I want to encourage you, if you're contemplating or scared to make a move, but you feel you need to make a move, seek out some wise counsel, some, ones that you can just say, hey, can you, in our case, hey, can you pray about this with me? Or, whatever your, however that is for you, what does that look like? And just don't be afraid. Sometimes obviously there's risk out there, but if something is opening up a new door, don't be afraid to go walk into that. So
I love that
put that
you
out
just,
there for somebody that needed to hear that.
you know what? And I love that you did, because we have been in that scarcity and that fear based, right? And I totally agree with you. When I started kind of seeing, I've talked about this before, the whole thing, the shutdown happening, I kind of saw, and I started pivoting. I've been on some podcasts in which I actually talk in great detail, and I need to do it here as well at some point. But it is really important, like you said, it's a journey, right? Mm-hmm. I've said over and over again, if anybody said that I would be doing 2 online shows, I would be interviewing guests, I would be doing this, I would have laughed, because I could barely do a video where I got on and showed my products. And, just that whole year of growth and transformation, and just being able to just walk out, right? And do something, because it may not work. That's okay.
Okay. It's okay. I think it's John Maxwell that has a book or talks about, you have to fail forward. And you have to get out there, and that's where the growth happens. We can, if you really think about it, and we look back, and I remember we teased my husband, because I remember early on, when the company was just started, and he's like, okay, come on, babe, now is anything going to ever finally happen? And so, but we had to be okay with that, hey, we're going to go after, and we're going to try it. And, and not everything is going to happen overnight. There is no overnight success. I promise you. I don't know what, people try to say what they don't see. And we talked about this at our church just started a business and professionals connect group. And we talked about this is what you don't see, what may look like an overnight success is you don't see the hours, the tears, all of those things that you've poured into to get that journey, to get to that place. You don't get to the top of the mountain, just by, I'm there. And so I think, fear, we've talked about, I'm sure, Kim, I know you and I've had conversations over the last 3 years about this. And if you allow that fear to creep in and you don't, then you're going to stay stagnant. You're going to stay stuck. You're never going to move forward. And you've got to get that courage to move out of and sometimes it's your own way.
Oh my gosh, so much it's your own way.
It's your own way. And, tradition or routine or, thinking that you're not worthy enough or you're not good enough or all those things. And I love what you said earlier when you have to lead with, who you are, what is inside of you, and let that lead you and guide you and allow opportunities to grow, continue to educate yourself, continue to grow, invest in yourself. Because you never know what might be buried down there. But sometimes it comes to, and my husband talks about this a lot, there's a lot of opportunities out there, but sometimes they're not the right time or the right season. And so that's a whole nother show we could do on that, understanding times and seasons. But that's important too, because you could move out too soon and not be the right time or the right season. Or sometimes you can sometimes also hold on a little bit and still carry the weight of a previous season or the weight of that moving forward. And you've got that weight and that baggage. And so, sometimes you just you have to go for it though. But no, I encourage you, know if it's the right thing, but don't be afraid. Absolutely. Don't be afraid to do that.
So my Facebook banner, it has face everything and rise. That's what fear stands for me. It's just to face it, right? And then and to rise anyway. And you sometimes we don't know if it's that season, right? And we try, right? I tried, but sometimes having the right people come into your life, right? Finding people that you can connect with. That's why I bring, industry leaders like you on here, so that our business community can see who's out there, who's walked the walk before you, who can hold you by the hand, who can save you that 10 to 30 year learning curve, right? And you've talked, and we're going to dive a little bit into that with you as well. That's how you started part of the rooms of your castle and what you do. But I also don't want them to leave them hanging. They're probably thinking, what's the 3 C's? What's the 3 C's? So I better ask
Yeah.
before anybody says, I don't want to watch anymore. What's the
Right.
3 C's?
The 3 C's. So, and you kind of, it goes back to, you kind of have to know who you are as an individual, as a person, and be very clear. And I think this is where, with that, it's allowed me to get to what I feel like are the 3 C's. There's more. I'm not saying that there aren't, but these are things that are important to me. And there might be 4, because I told you I threw in, this one, and I'll share that one. But the 3 main ones that I think are so important is, one is conversation, connect, and community. And so, Kim, you and I know everything has to start with a conversation. It doesn't matter if it's friendship, if it's business, it doesn't matter. Everything, it has to start with a conversation.
Pick up the phone, right?
Pick up the phone, exactly.
We want to text, we want to email, we hide behind that. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm pretty passionate about this.
Yeah. And, and that's a lot, finding out too, how does that other person on the end, if you kind of know, if I know that that's your way of, that you want to connect, is our conversation is that, then do that. The next one is connecting. It is so important. And many times we will want our clients to connect with us when we really need to connect with them first. And that's the key. I can use a perfect example. We'll have a lot of, and I'm sure you know this in your industry that you're in, but so many times we want to make it all about us and what we do, especially in different services arenas or different, if it's products, you got to learn to make it about them. You've got, whether it's a problem, whether it's a product, a solution, whatever it is. And so many times we, especially, and I'll share this. And so if you're in this industry, I'm not meaning to knock you personally, but I tend to see this in this industry more in sales and marketing. It's all about my accomplishments and what I've done. It has nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. And so that's so important. I don't want to hear, and I appreciate you sharing the awards and things that, I've been blessed to receive and things like that. But it's really not, at the end of the day. Some people might care about that, but the clients that you really want, or the people you really want to develop those long-term, value-driven relationships, serve all of that you want to do, it's going to come back to you being able to connect with them, being able to know, hey, here's where I stand. Here's, I care about you. I care about how I represent you. I care about whatever you're doing. I'll use my company as an example. We get to work with the Nevada Department of Transportation. And when I have that hat on, you better believe I'm going to show up representing them with the absolute best in everything I say, everything I do, how I conduct myself, because they've entrusted me to do that. And so, that's so important. But it goes back to, again, I had to have those conversations. I've had to connect with them, build a community around them, and understanding who they are, what they sound like, what do they say, all of those things before I can go out and represent them on their behalf to other people.
So what do you do with them? You talk about your resource center.
Yes. So I have the coolest job ever. You might disagree. You might think that you have the coolest job ever. But so with our certification and business development side, and I'll kind of just start with that and lead into this, if that's okay, Kim. So our certification, we actually come in and work with small women and minority-owned firms, helping them get their certification as that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, I'm sure. And so that's kind of where we started. I'm actually a business development company, and that's what I absolutely love to do, is help businesses grow. But we have found that this is an absolute great tool in the diversity space, where small women and minority-owned firms have that certification, can create a competitive advantage. It can create some greater opportunities for them in contracts. And so that's where we kind of started in that. And obviously we still do that. That's a big part of our company. That's how we first met with you, as being able to assist you with that. Fast forward, I really began to see a gap in some of the small business owners, because I came from contract management and the corporate side. I was able to work with a large company here as a subcontractor, as also as a contractor. And I began to recognize that there was a gap between the small business owners trying to do business with them, and then sometimes the large corporations wanting to do business with the small. And so we just began to kind of navigate and open up, what does that look like just a little bit more? And how can we bridge that gap between the two? And so a lot of our large corporations, if they had diversity inclusion programs or different things, but one organization that I began to really watch and see, I'm like, well, this is kind of new. This is not anything that I've seen them do before. I've always, for some reason, have loved the contract and construction world, which I'm not for sure why, but I do. And so I began actually to watch, it was NDOT, Nevada Department of Transportation. And so I began watching and seeing what they were doing, and with their DBE supportive services program. And I loved what the message of that was, basically to help grow and develop their DBEs to be able to bid on private public work contracts. And so fast forward, we've had conversations connecting all of those things. Bid opportunities come. So now we serve as NDOT's DBE supportive services consultant. And on that hat, we have the opportunity to facilitate a mentor protege program, their business development program. So we get to work with DBEs and helping them grow their business. We get to represent NDOT at their outreach events and different networking things. And then we decided a couple years ago, I've always wanted something like this, but we weren't for sure, what would this look like? What does this make sense? But having some type of a resource center for certified business owners. So it didn't matter really what trade you were in, because some things are just a little bit different in this space. And so I was able to pitch this concept to them, and lo and behold, it was something they have always wanted, but they had not had a contractor or someone to that point. They really didn't have the resources at that time to be able to do that. And so we said, let's give it a shot. Let us have a shot at it, and let's see, what does this look like? I presented thoughts and ideas, and so from that, we have now created what's called the Resource Center, and it's in partnership currently with NDOT, so my company and NDOT. And we have this amazing center here, a physical location, and we do a lot, obviously, virtual recently. We have an advisory team that we've put together. We looked at what were some of the challenges, and we've talked about this a little earlier, what are some businesses struggling with? And in this space, sometimes some of the small business owners struggled with, maybe it was legal, finding, we're getting ready to sign a contract, but it's a little overwhelming. We don't understand this language. So legal was always a barrier for some. Access to capital, working capital, loans, whatever, that was a little bit of a barrier. Or even on the flip side of it, the financial side of it, how do I even make sure that I land the right, the bid, if, knowing what my numbers are, some bonding, some insurance. So we created, and we have the most amazing advisory team. I have some of the best. I have one of the best attorneys, and not only we didn't just go pick any attorney. This is one we had in a relationship with, but our attorney is very knowledgeable in the construction arena as well as the DBE program. So it was so important to us that every person on our advisory team understands their industry, their subject matter experts, whatever they do, but they also understand the diverse or DBE program, whether it's DBE, WBE, EMB, and we'll go to the alphabet soup later. So it was important that they understand, because this is the NDOT program, the DBE program, is a little bit different than some of our WBE or MB programs. So with all of that said, we have our certification side. So we assist small business owners to get certified. Our business development, now how do we take that certification? How do we grow it? What does that look like? What is that strategy? And then our DBE supportive services is now with this particular project with NDOT, now allows us to do all of the things that we love to do, but we do it specifically for our NDOT DBEs and helping them grow. So anything in that kind of, it all comes back to really the core is business development. It's all about relationships. It's all about relationships.
That's, what I've discovered, throughout my career is it is all about the relationships, building those for, as a resource, right? So we don't have to know everything. I will never pretend to know it all, right? I've reached out to you more than one time, Christy, who do I go to for this? Or who's good with this, right?
Yeah. And, and the cool thing is, Kim, it goes both ways. We're not going to, you and I both, whether it's you or me, we're not going to always know who the answer is. And I think it's so important, though, that when you're when you've built your community, they know who they can call, because you may not have the answer. I may not have the answer, but I'm going to make sure that I get you to someone who will. I'm going to make sure of that. And whatever the question is that you're looking for. And that's the beautiful thing. We've talked about how big our city is in Las Vegas. And I know you've got clients, nationwide. I mean, we have such a unique, demographic here where, we may have 3 million people in our county, but such a small town. And so I think that that's something that's so important as well, that no matter where you are or where you live or where you're tuning in from today is, really get in and get connected to your community, because you never know who you're sitting next to. I love to use an example. If I can share a little story with you, and I don't know if you know.
I love stories.
Lil Friedlander with Tough Skin. I think maybe you've met her at our NCA Diversity and Inclusion Council. But going back to many years ago, I served as a president of NABA, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners for Southern Nevada. And Lil was one of our board members. And we always, every year, we did a luncheon for our corporate partners, just thanking them for their support, their contribution. And I'll never forget, she does a lot of the product that she has, her and her husband has developed is really designed for the hospitality community. And then that was really where they were looking to serve at that moment. And so we're sitting at this kind of U-shaped table from what I remember, and we're all just kind of mixed in. So we had corporate partners. So that was representatives from Diversity and Inclusion Council, gaming, hospitality, whoever they were. So she was sitting next to this one lady. They began to have this conversation, and they realized they had been talking to each other. But here was the corporate supplier diversity, the highest you could get for that particular gaming and hospitality organization that she had been wanting it to get in and trying to do business with. And so it started then just realizing you never know who you're going to sit next to. You never know. There's an opportunity right there. And so that launched something beautiful for her many years. That was probably now, maybe 7-8 years ago. And we tell that story a lot of times when we get together, because one, it was the power of her certification was able to get her in the door of that particular organization, but it was the community that she had built and that she was a part of that actually allowed her to have a seat at that table that particular lunch day and develop that relationship. So you just never know how big, doesn't matter how big or how small, but really when you want to get in, get connected with your community, you never know what opportunities are there.
Yeah, and it's about showing up, right? That's the thing that I loved about this community, and I'm so excited about the future. Is I mean, literally, my calendar was stuffed full, right, of meeting people and being out and about and seeing my customers, and that's a lot of why I created, this, right, the Fontes Insider, so that our customers do have access to, to me. Do they have access to, industry leaders like yourself, so that they can get those resources and tools and things they need that they can't necessarily go out and get right now. And that's where I think the biggest value. Definitely going back out if things open up, somewhat over time. But that's why I think these platforms are really important as well.
Well, and even with things, I know things are going to open up. I'm declaring it.
Yes.
But even if things look a little bit different going forward, I think what this did create the opportunity for us is, though, how important the various social platforms, or how important when you can't have that in-person conversation, how are you showing up and how can the people find you? I'm probably not the best. I'm sitting here and probably should be, taking my own advice. But I know one side of our company, we've been able to have someone help us, get a little bit more engaged social and things like that. But this is why it's so important, especially if you're in the space of being a certified woman or minority owned business. You don't have access to, go and knock on the door of your, your procurement or your buyer, or even if you're in construction, government agencies like that, some of them have not opened the doors. So these are the ways that you can. I mean, they may be able to, like in your case, and I love this, is what you're saying is, they can go back to your face, go back to your, Fontes Insider, go back to your Fontes page and go back and look at these things that you've done. And maybe that creates an opportunity like, wow, I thought she just did, product and promotion type things. And then, now, wow, I'm looking at this, or she has this connection here. So you never know, again, who's watching or who's going to be sitting at the table with you, but who's watching in the, in this space of what we're talking about. But it's so important to, this show, if anything, COVID showed us this, show up in where you are, what you're doing online, making sure that, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's, Facebook or whatever, make sure that they know who you are and what you do. Because things, it does look a little bit different, unfortunately. And I hope it all gets back to, 100% normal. But I do kind of feel like we might have a new normal.
New normal.
We're gonna have a new normal, and there might be some organizations that have, and even in you might be experiencing this already. Is some were like, hey, we're not all going back to a full central location. Different ones might continue to work remotely. So it's a challenge. We've talked about pivoting. We've talked about all these different things in conversations, and I think this creates a great opportunity. You need to know what does that look like for you, and how do I grow my business and not get discouraged, don't get frustrated, but really hone in, why did I start to begin with? Don't lose that, your why. But then just find, hey, I've got to take this journey a little bit different. This has a, the roadmap, it looks just a little bit different. GPS took me just a little bit different route this time. But just kind of go with it. Don't, we talked about fear earlier, those type of things. Don't get so wrapped up in that, but just kind of go with what it is. So we just kind of have to kind of, we say in the South, up, buttercup.
Yeah, right. And also the comparison, right? Well, how come you're doing this? And you can't compare. And it's so easy for us to do as human beings, right? Is to compare. And you can't. You've got to stay in your journey, in what you know, and don't be afraid to ask, right?
Yes.
Ask for help.
Ask for help. Ask for help.
I know here in Las Vegas, we have an amazing business community that I am so grateful to be a part of. But I know that I talk to, my family members in other states. There's other great communities that want to help support one another and small business, which I think is so important. So, and Christy, is there anything, how can people get a hold of you? I've got some banners here.
Yeah.
Gonna do that for you.
I would say the best way, if they will just email me, and so you popped it up on the screen, just send me an email and put Fontis Insider and into the subject line. And I'd love to, if you're, a small woman or minority owned business or curious, or even a corporation. We serve that side as well. So if you are, interested in getting certified, or, hey, we would love to maybe do more and work with some, the diverse business community, whether you have a formal diversity and inclusion program. Anyway, let us know if you would love to, partner with us on our resource center if you're a corporation. And, we provide, like I said, we're kind of now having the two hats, the two different sides of it, where we're serving both our small business owners and then the corporation or the government side of it. And, we love to create, what is that solution? What is it that you're needing? And allow us to come in and facilitate or curate that. We do a lot of training, education. So there's a lot of different arenas, like you've talked about. You can, when you come to the Paragon group, you just never know what room, you can walk into. But it really, at the end of the day, we want to connect with you first. And see, what is maybe your need or your challenge, your struggle, and what that might be, and then see from there, how we can best serve you. And so you've got my email, so send me an email. I'd love to, offer a free consultation for someone who might be looking, whether it's, like I said, certification, business development, or consulting services. So that's the best way to find me.
Awesome. Christy, thank you so much. We are all about the gifts around here, and you are definitely a gift for those that you serve. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, get a hold of Christy. As you can tell, she is the resource woman, and so grateful to not only call her a friend, someone that I work with, and she is on so many boards. So if you definitely want to be more connected in this city, she definitely is a connector too. So I would recommend that. Thank you so much for your time here on Fontis Insider. I love serving you all and bringing you the best that I can find, and just have a great day.